Kissing is such an important part of being in a relationship. So what do you do if you kind of feel like your spouse isn't that good at it? One person sent in a question for me to talk about, saying that my husband is not a good kisser. How can I talk to him about this? So if you relate to this at all, let's talk about it today. But before I dive in, please make sure that you like this video and subscribe. It is a really simple, easy, free way for you to support the free coaching that I am doing in these videos for you guys. So really thank you and appreciate that. Today we're going to talk about a way to bring up this really sensitive topic in a way that actually brings connection and it doesn't hurt each other's feelings, and it can provide productive solutions on what to do about this. By the end, you're going to have simple but effective ways to guide your spouse through this process without making it awkward or uncomfortable. All right, first things first, it's really important to understand that you are not trying to fix your spouse. Like, there's nothing wrong with them. They might just do things a little bit differently. And when it comes to things like kissing or other physical intimacy things, that can sometimes change over time, both in how we might do something and also in our preferences and how we like to receive love in that way. So I feel like that's really important just to start off all of this saying that sometimes things change, and it's not about them being like a bad person or there being something wrong with them per se. So when you want to bring up something really sensitive like this, you want to make sure that you're not going to do it after they've had a really bad day at work or right before you go to bed and you're both exhausted. Make sure that you do it at a time that you know is conducive to a good conversation, when both of you can be really calm and there's time to talk about it, there's not distractions, you know that you'll be able to communicate the way that you want, that he will be able to hear you. All of that, kind of set the stage the best that you can will really help things be better in the end, the outcome to be better, basically. So you want to also really start off by saying things that you do value. It might be helpful to just say that you kind of a heads up, like you want to be able to talk through some things about your intimacy and part of that being kissing maybe, and just saying that you love the way that he loves you and takes care of you, and you're really thankful for X, Y, or Z, whatever things do feel like they're working really well. Start off with something positive with the way that you approach this conversation. Obviously, it's probably a no-brainer, but you don't want to say like, you're such a terrible kisser, right? Like that's going to be really crushing, not helpful, really hurtful, and that's not your goal. Your goal is not to hurt their feelings. Your goal is just to try to connect with them better in a way that's enjoyable for you and them. And that's okay. You could also say something like, I really love when we kiss, or like when we make out. Remember that one time when we made out when you were dating, and insert like a story. Keep it really lighthearted and fun and reflect on the fun, spicy times that you guys have had. And say like, I wonder if we could explore like different ways of kissing, or I really loved that we were so passionate, when we first got married, and I feel like we don't kiss the same like that. We don't make out like that, and I really love this part, and I'm just wondering if there's like things that we could do to improve upon it. Like, what do you think about it? Also, just approach it a little bit more straightforward, kind of saying like, I love when we kiss. Do you want to try something fun? Like, I have some ideas. And that way it's you coming in with some things that hopefully you like to suggest as something for him to try, for you to try, all of that together. And so something that could be helpful is to show him what you mean when you say, I really like it when you do this, or I'm really interested in trying it like this. Let me show you. That way it's something that's, a little bit easier to understand, be a little bit less overwhelming, and it's playful. You're still trying to keep it really light and playful so that it doesn't feel overwhelming and like embarrassing, or there's no shame. If you start to sense resistance or defensiveness, I would really encourage you to continue to reroute and talk through that. Don't just like power through, because you want to cater to the sensitivity of this and any emotions that might come up when you're talking about it for him, as well as yourself, right? But so if that comes up, just make sure that you pause and kind of work through that before just continuing to power through with your goal of trying to fix things. Other ways to work on this without coming off critical is, again, that positive reinforcement. I loved when you did that just now. And if it's like in the heat of the moment, it's not like you're going to pause and have a huge conversation, but making noises or saying like, oh, that was perfect. Like stuff like that really helps the other person know where you're coming from, and can be really good, positive reinforcement, like I said. And if you feel like your spouse might not really be as receptive to more of like a sit down conversation, then you could just suggest like, hey, would you be interested in something like this? Like, I think it would be fun for us to be playful together and we could try this and just see like experimenting a little bit with different ways of kissing each other, because there's nothing wrong with having more spice in our marriage. And I think that'd be fun. Like, let's try it. Some ideas and things that you could do to explore is having a kissing only date, meaning you're just focusing on different ways of kissing. You could say like, oh, we're gonna just try kissing each other's upper lip only, or whatever the thing is. There's a million different things, because I'm assuming, have something in your mind as to like, oh, I'm hoping it will be better. And so use those as part of your experiment or as things that you want to do without the pressure of it having to turn into something else. Like, I want to be careful that sometimes people think like kissing equals more, and it doesn't have to be that way. Connecting and being really close and intimate can be just through kissing, and that's it. And that can be super special. Let's say you watch a romantic movie together and you're like, oh, that looks special. Like, hey babe, you want to try that? That could be a really good thing. It's a visual thing. I'm not suggesting watching, things that are inappropriate or whatever, but just kind of like a regular rom-com, whatever you're watching. That could be a good visual example and a good segue into trying something a little bit different. If you're trying to get creative and figure out what ways will be best to approach your spouse, because you know them best. You could also just say like, hey, let's play a game and kiss for 30 seconds and see what happens, see what feels good, and talk about it. That is a really good way to connect. You get lots of oxytocin from kissing and hugging and all of that. And so that could be a really easy way to bring it up and try things for it to be better for both of you. If you're still a little bit unsure, just keep in mind it might be kind of trial and error. Again, talking about this can be really difficult, maybe for you and them. And so just give yourself and them lots of grace, lots of wiggle room to talk about it. If you want some more practical help, I have a 30-day couples connection challenge, and that would be a really good kind of bridging the gap to be able to talk about some of this, because all of that is weaved into this challenge. Love languages, different really practical, simple activities that you would do every single day to connect more. And so that would be a really simple way of like, hey, I think that kissing, when it has that on there, like, let's try a different way of kissing, and then let that be, like I said, a way to kind of segue into talking about it more. The link to sign up for the challenge is in the description below. Just make sure you keep it fun. Kissing, the topic, all of it, you want to do it really lighthearted. And if you feel like the conversation gets derailed, don't panic. It doesn't mean it's over. It doesn't mean it's hopeless. It doesn't mean you're just going to be miserable. It just means that you need to pause and maybe take some space. Try it again in a couple of days or whatever feels best for you guys. But keep things light, and remember the intent for both of you is to connect. Intimacy in marriage is such a gift that the Lord gave us, and I feel like it's really important to steward it well. And so you definitely don't need to put this pressure on. Sometimes like it can feel like it means so much if you're just like defeated about one thing. And so remember that connecting in this way is a beautiful thing, and it's okay if it's not feeling perfect right now, because like I said, things change, ebb and flow. We go through different seasons, and so it's okay to talk about it. It's healthy to talk about these things. There's nothing wrong with you or your husband or your marriage or any of that. So be encouraged, and yeah, go for it. You can do it. I know you can. If you need help, that challenge would be a really, really good asset for you. So hopefully this helps. Like this video, subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.